coming to you live from our garage because we don't have internet service in the garage.
Not all the way over here, not where we got a cool backdrop.
So, yeah, it's been a while since we did an actual video because we've been praying and figuring out exactly what we need to be doing.
We've been too busy with life.
Life has been busy. Clint has been life at the moment.
Well, between going to doctor's appointments, Clint starting school.
We had got back because we got back from...
Got back from vacation and then just ramped right back up.
And then it was just...
Between mowing the lawn and Clint going to school.
The garden, having to get that stuff done because if you've ever had a garden, you know you can't just let it sit out there. It's not like...
You can, but...
You can, but then you just lose everything. So you got to get into the garden to take it out. And then you have to do something with it or it's just going to rot. So been busy doing that. But also there was a couple times we were like, oh, we're going to do a video. And both of us were just like, God didn't say we needed to talk about something. So we've been praying and talking to God about what is it that we need to do, what is this next thing we need to talk about. And so Scott got something, and I agree. I felt that, resonate in my spirit, so.
Felt what? The tingling? The quickening? There can be only one.
It ain't you.
No?
No.
So anyway, we're going to talk about basically, I don't know, I guess it's our testimony as a married couple.
How we got here?
And, yeah, how we got to living in obscurity in a small town in northwestern Wisconsin.
Nowhereville?
No, it's not here. There's other towns with less people.
Not very many around us, though. Like 2. That isn't going to work. You're not going to be able to rock and be squeaky. Everything echoes as it is already. The garage is way too big for that.
Reverb? Well, that's not going to work. At least if I just lean back, we'll be all right. So anyway, I guess we'll start with stealing the Wayback Machine from Peabody and Sherman. Since we're coming up on being married for 23 years.
October 5th. So we've been married for 23 years. We've known each other for 24 years. I know there's a lot of people who are like, only a year. Yeah, only a year.
You're that old?
Yeah, I'm that old apparently too.
We were just dumb kids when we got married.
We little lads.
I don't know if anybody on here is old enough to get the Peabody and Sherman joke. But it's worth a shot. So way back then, we were just little kids.
Let's see.
A lot skinnier.
It was 2 kids ago, man.
A lot skinnier, a lot less facial hair.
No. You've always had that much facial. I've never seen this man's chin.
We'll keep it that way.
I met you. You look like this.
Right.
I mean, shorter, but you look like this. Just saying.
We just rob a bank and then shave and nobody know who I was. I could fake my own death and shave and live a whole separate life. What? You didn't like that one? Come on, that's funny.
I didn't say it wasn't. Had a bit inner monologue going on.
So anyway, we started dating back in, I don't know, it was probably October because we met in September and then I went on vacation. Our first date entailed going to the beach and walking on the beach in the moonlight.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. And then after that, she just wouldn't go away. So then, after I got back from my fishing trip vacation, we started dating. And she dragged me to...
I did not drag him to church. I informed him that if he wanted to
you
date
dragged me to that service where I had to sit in the back.
Mary Frances Farallo, the poor man.
Was that the first one or the second
Mary
one?
Frances Farallo was the first one.
So she drags me to this church service. And, of course, she doesn't even sit with me. She's working in kids. So I'm in the back row of this church, sitting in the single seat by myself. And they got this lady preacher up there who, I have no idea what's going on.
She's a prophetess.
Well, so...
You didn't know at the time, I know.
I'm sitting back there, waiting to burst into flames, which hasn't happened yet, so pretty sure that's not going to.
It's not how things work, but it was what you were taught.
But this lady's up there preaching. I had no idea what was going on. I was just an innocent victim at the time. And so these people they do like this altar call thing, and these people are going up, and she's touching them, and they're going down. I have no idea what's going on. The next thing I know, there are people just standing in the aisles, and she's making the rounds, pushing these people over. Because, again, this is my first experience other than funerals and weddings at church. And I got nobody to talk to because the girl I went with abandoned me. So I'm left here on my own, not going what's going on. And this lady's just touching people and they're falling on the floor. And there was a couple of them running around the room in their fancy high-end clothes. And I'm there in my semi-clean jeans and a t-shirt, I think.
I like what you're wearing.
You know, because at this point, I really don't own any dress clothes. I own work clothes and kind of work clothes.
Work clothes and play clothes, that's about it.
So, for whatever reason, I end up going back more than once.
I informed him.
Obviously, there was something special about her, otherwise I had to...
I informed him right off the bat. If you want to be with me, then you're going to go to church, because I go to church, and God is the center of my life. So if you're going to be with me, you're going to be in church. Because if you don't go to church, then and you don't get God, then you can't get me. That was...
And this didn't happen right off the bat, so... I made it through this service and nobody killed me or anything like that. So we go back, and it's like the same thing, only it's the regular pastor this time. What I know now is he was working under the anointing, and he's going around touching people. They're standing up in the aisle, and they're just dropping in the aisle. They're dropping up front.
Oh, Lord, no, I hope you were watching this. I hope you get a chance to watch this.
That same lady in the wild clothes is running around again because her knees or her back are healed or something like that. And granted, this is the second time I've been to church. The first time I was traumatized.
Not so much that he didn't go back. Not so much that he didn't go back. Enough to be like, what's going on?
Second time, same thing, different person. It's like, what's going on? You know, and she's trying to explain. At least this time she was sitting there with me, and we were in the second to the back row. They had like 2 or 3 seats. Because, you know, got to be able to exit quickly so nobody talks to you. Then there were some normal services. They weren't bad. And I was intrigued, but not enough to go, okay, this is what I'm looking for. So that went on for a while. Then
For a year.
Did we go there for a year?
We went there until like June-ish, so almost a year.
We went there just about till we got married. We got engaged in the spring of '02.
No. Yes, '02. We got married in '02.
So we got engaged in the spring. Short engagement because you don't need to drag that out. That's just get it over
You're never
with.
going to be prepared. Everybody always wants to be prepared. Everybody wants to be prepared to get married and prepared to the problem is that if you weren't prepared to be married, you shouldn't even be looking to date anyone, because the only reason to date anyone or to be in a relationship is the outcome of marriage.
To get married, pump out a couple of kids, and live happily ever after.
If that is not your intention in a relationship, you shouldn't be in any relationship.
But anyway, that's something different. So, that's another...
That's a different talk for a different day.
Yeah, that we're probably not qualified to do. But anyway, so we got engaged in the spring. You know, we got our $100 Walmart ring set because they never billed us for when we had to go back and pick it up.
$1,800 or whatever it was supposed to be.
So anyway, that's Walmart for you. So then, I think we made it to. Were we still going there when we got married or no?
No, it was. That's why I said I think it was end of June or beginning of July that we stopped because it was in the summertime.
And the names and places have been changed to protect the innocent.
So what happened was that we had gone to a service at the church that he's talking about that I was going to when I met him, and I was in children's church as I was that first time he came to church, and I had to inform the person that I was the head of the department that as it got we lived
about an hour away because we were living in.
A little bit more than an hour away.
We were living in Tuftonboro at the time.
Yeah.
You know, a couple minutes from the lake. We were living in a upscale town in a low-scale house.
So I was informing her that it was becoming more difficult to get there on time, and with the weather that we knew would come up in the winter, it may have been like August when I had this conversation.
Yeah, because we were preparing.
Because we were getting prepared, we were preparing to be married, and then for it to be winter, and I wanted to be like, hey, listen, I want to still come to church.
We were going to be gone for like 3 weeks altogether between our getting married, the honeymoon, and then our vacation that I already planned before we decided to get married.
So it was one of those things that I was informing her that, you know,
it was going to be about a month till we were back. And
so basically. I was asking to be removed from the children's church for a span of time. And it didn't go well. I don't understand what happened, in the sense that kind of got yelled at, and I was completely removed from being involved at all. So I was severed those, and I had come out. He had heard some of it, and I had come out to the truck that he was sitting in, and I was in tears, and I'm trying to because I felt like I just got reprimanded, and I didn't know why, and I still don't understand it. And he looked at me and said to me, I will go to church with you anywhere, but not ever again here.
And somebody thought we were new and didn't like the way I dressed because...
He was approached when I was not around.
Because we'd been going there at this point for...
8 months or so?
8 or 9 months on and off. And like normal, I'd wear jeans that didn't have stains and a clean t-shirt because that's me. I don't dress up. I barely dress up for weddings and funerals with the few button-up shirts I have and clean pants. So there was a comment made about the way I dressed, which, whatever. If I need to be if I need to dress in expensive clothes to be accepted by God at church, I ain't going. And y'all know that story about the cowboy who shows up off the trail in church and the pastor talks to him and stuff, and he basically goes, I'd ask God, but he ain't here. So, nothing against y'all that get dressed up fancy. Some of us
are not fancy. God created us all differently, and some of us love to dress up and be extravagant, and some of us don't. It's just not comfortable to us. It's not who we want to be. I want to be able to. We had a pastor tell us one time, you better come to church in comfortable clothes, because when God moves and you're going to move in the Spirit, you better be prepared to run or jump or whatever it is that God has moved. Because, hey, come on, when God shows up, between you and God, who's going to move? Ain't going to be God. So I want to be in comfortable clothing to be able to do whatever it is, whether it be jump or run or praise God. I want to be comfortable. And I'm sorry, 3-inch heels and a miniskirt ain't being comfortable.
Yeah, stilettos and a miniskirt may be comfortable for some people, but we're not those people.
We're not those people.
Not to mention I don't have the body for stilettos or miniskirt.
Okay.
So anyway,
Continue.
we get married, and
We did go to other churches.
we tried other churches.
We went to several other churches.
Yeah, it's not like we just said, well, we ain't going back.
And we're not going to church anymore. It wasn't like that. And I said, okay, so we started going to different churches.
Yeah, we found one we liked. We went there for a little while till somebody got pregnant.
No. We went to we went to other churches, and like there were several churches. And what it was we'd be 1 or 2 times that we would be there, and something would be said. And even though he wasn't where he was supposed to be, he wasn't 100%. He wasn't 100%. He knew what he was hearing was not right, and he'd be like, "We're not. That's not how that works."
Yeah, we're done with that one because.
So we did do a lot of that.
Because in between all of that stuff, I was watching Jesse Duplantis, and
Kenneth Copeland.
I could relate to most of his stuff. Some of Kenneth Copeland's stuff I could relate to, and other stuff it was just way over my head, and I was lost. So I went back to, Jesse Duplantis.
You listened to, or was it Oral Roberts as well? Is that
No. Oh, every once in a while I'd watch that, but I had a hard time with that too. I could really, basically, it was Jesse Duplantis was easy to relate to. Keith Moore was easy to relate to because we watched him. So in between church surfing, we watched a lot of those TV preachers.
Joyce Meyer.
Yep.
A lot of Joyce Meyer.
So we found a church we liked. We went there for a couple of months till basically between her having a hard time being pregnant with Tristan and the weather, we kind of ceased and desisted on that and tried to find one more local to where we were living in Tuftonboro. And we went to a couple local churches, and they were pretty sketchy. So then I think we stopped going for a while you were pregnant.
Yeah, after Tristan was born, we had found a church that we had gone to, and it was a great church. The pastor was great, and then something happened where Tristan had gotten sick, and the people in the church came at us about, well, what are you doing? You're clearly doing bad things. God's punishing you. And we had to go to the pastor, and we were like, we've had...
Yeah, and at that point in time, we were actually looking at moving out of the area because we'd gone and looked at that house up in northern Vermont, that farm. Because while this was going on, we had basically canceled the Harley we were going to order. And struggled at life for a little bit. And with Tristan being lactose intolerant, we had jumped into becoming full-time goat farmer, basically, goat
Farmers,
and sheep.
yeah.
I mean, we had a bunch of temporary residents, cows and pigs, and
We had found we were going
We were-
to the church in Alsip at the time.
yeah, and we had dairy goats and sheep and meat chickens and all that stuff. So we were into that pretty deep,
Pigs, goats,
and
sheep,
we wanted to be
cows.
basically we were trying to find a better place to run farm critters, not in an upscale town. And after we'd gone and looked at a couple pieces of property, Tristan got really, really sick. And that's when he was, the people at the church we were going to were telling us that we were doing something wrong, and that God was punishing us by making our child sick.
And just so you know, we do not serve a God like that, because
Yeah.
that is not accurate. If God loves, and He is love, He doesn't cause you to get sick. He doesn't punish you like that. Why would God need to punish us? And come on, our own consequences do that for us. You know, God loves us. He's not out here, preying on your downfall. That's not what He does.
Yeah, so at this point, we've been married for, almost 3 years.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm still trying God.
Well, no, because when Tristan ended up in the hospital, that was when.
Yeah, I was getting to that.
Okay.
So basically, up until that point, I'm still trying this out because it's interfering with the stuff I like to do or thought I like to do. I'm still getting away from the drinking, which when we met, I really wasn't into it that much anyway.
No, just when we first dated.
Yeah, but that doesn't count.
Really?
So I'm still trying this out because I'm not sure that basically at this point religion and God is for me. I see some of the results and it's like, all right, that's not bad, but what do I got to give up to get to that point? So I'm still trying it out. I haven't committed to it. I'm just giving it a test drive. One of those, basically a lease. At some point, if I don't like it, I can give it back and move on. So anyway, Tristan gets really, really sick. He's in the hospital. They're contemplating sending him to Boston in a helicopter because they really don't know what's wrong with him. So at that point, it's like, all right, we need something to go on. So it's like, if basically, God, if you're real, you need to heal this boy because he doesn't deserve what's going on with him. And I'll start following you because if you can heal him, then that's enough for me that I know you're real. I know you're real, so that's something I can touch, basically. And for people who are, I know there's people that'll watch this and go, well, yeah, right. Or there's other people that go, hey, I know where you're coming from. And so at that point, it's like, all right, if you heal him, I can do this. So I did that. That was the first time I gave my life to Christ because Tristan got better. So I was like, all right.
It was, okay, so the part of that is that I brought him to the hospital. I had walked into the emergency room holding him, and the ladies all got, at the hospital, if you understand the hospital that it was.
Step above the vet's office.
I had come in, and they were all very much, you can't be in here, you can't be in here. And I literally just looked at them with tears in my eyes going, he's not breathing. Because he had such shallow breath, I thought he was dead. He was blue, shallow breath, and I thought that he had stopped breathing. And they had taken him from me and went into the other room. And my mom was the one who brought me to the emergency room with him. So when she came in, she was in there with him. I was not able to be, I was not coherent. I was not within myself. The entire time, I'm just praying to God. He cannot die, God. He cannot die. He cannot die. And in my own, I was in prayer, like in my own. My mom was in the room with him, and she had stated that she had prayed. She had laid her hands on him and she had prayed. And so at that time, I'm just agreeing with that because of being kind of outside yourself when you're in a situation where you're just like, what do I do? And at that point, it was one of those situations that I was just like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And realizing that probably wasn't as prepared for battle as a Christian should be. I mean, I understand that all of like 23 years old, 24 years old, but this 23 years old, 24 years old, something like that. So, yeah, because it's a year and a half. It's got to be somewhere 23-ish.
Yeah.
And it was one of those situations where I was just like in prayer, continually just talking and praying to God. And I don't mean I was begging God, God, please, please. It wasn't like that. It was, I had all that I knew for Scripture, and I was just claiming and quoting those Scriptures over him. That's when I realized I didn't have a lot of Scriptures. There wasn't a lot of knowledge in there. And then I had called you, or the doctor called you, the hospital called you.
I think you got a hold of me wherever I was working.
Yeah.
It was towards the end of the day, so we weren't that far out. Or
by the time I called you, but we went in the morning. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning when we had gone into the hospital.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I don't remember all the details.
Yeah, but I do remember being in the hospital room, and I mean, they did test after test after test. And then when they put him in a room, they'd come to us, and there was nothing wrong with him. And that was the thing that it was like...
They even did a spinal tap on the poor kid.
And so they come in, so this point in time, they put him in a room. He just hooked him up to IV fluids. And he comes in, and of course, I don't remember, I know I was somewhat hysterical. But at this point in time, it's like nobody knew what was wrong with him. There was nothing wrong with him, but everything was wrong with him.
Yeah, basically they didn't know what the deal was, and at least our PCP was halfway decent. So he spent a couple days at the hospital. Basically,
he was there 2 nights.
His butt was basically hamburgered for having the runs, and that was when we pretty much figured out he was lactose intolerant real bad. Like, we knew he had some sort of issue because right off the bat he had to be on rice formula, which is not that. That's not the deciding factor.
No, but basically what had happened was they wanted to know what had changed or what was different, and the only thing that was different was he was a year and a half, and the doctor had said to us, he shouldn't be on formula. He needs to be on milk. So the WIC was like, nah, no more formula. So it was a almost overnight thing where he went from
rice formula
to milk, like whole milk, because that's how the system works, and getting WIC at that time, I could not get formula anymore. I couldn't get anything but whole milk. And so it was whole milk. And he had probably had whole milk for less than a week. And then that was...
Yeah, so at that point we didn't have farm critters yet.
No, not yet.
So that was is that when he got sick, when we were looking at moving to Vermont before we did that?
Nope, that was, he had gotten sick when we were talking about doing farm animals because I had met some people who had a farm. Okay. That's when we met them. And they had a farm, and they had goats. And I was talking with them about him being on the specialty formulas. And she's like, oh, well, you should try goat's milk. And he was on the whole milk, and immediately after coming out of the hospital, after the conversations with the nurses and the doctor and our PCP, it was, okay, so if this happened in less than a week, it was probably 4 days. If this happened in 4 days, then it's raining. Then clearly this is probably what it is. So we backed off, and I'd gone to this friend of mine, these friends that we had met, and they gave us goat's milk to try. And within 3 days, he was his normal self again. Granted, he still had the scars so he still had to, he stopped taking baths at 18 months old. He showered from then on because he couldn't sit in water.
Yep. So basically, that was the.
And that was revelation to us, because there
More
wasn't
so to
anything.
you.
There wasn't anything wrong with him, and so here I am just going. God, I need answers. We need answers. I need to know what's going on. And for them to just be out of it never dawned on me. Why would it dawn on me that he could be lactose intolerant, or that he would need, if he had to have special formula, that he couldn't drink milk, like cow's milk. That's something doctors do. That's not something that you think of.
So at this point in our marriage and stuff, she's getting the revelation to go forward, and I'm just like, all right, we'll see what happens here. Because I'm only in it, I'd been going to church, I just wasn't in it per se. Like, I didn't read the Bible like you're supposed, like they tell you and all that stuff. I just watched stuff on TV and went, okay. I liked her enough, I was like, all right, I'll go to church. Sure.
And then after Tristan
Tristan
got better so quickly, he got better very quick. Like, there was no, in the eyes of the doctors, there was nothing wrong with him, so they sent him home. But for him, because he had to go back to the doctors in a week. He went back to the doctors once a week for like 2 months.
Yeah, good thing we didn't live far away.
And that was our PCP who was like, I want to watch him. And for him to go from, according to the doctor, from basically death to being a perfectly fine, normal little boy again within 4 days was just not, in the eyes of the doctors, not. It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's just not, in his eyes, that doesn't happen. No child, yes, they bounce back quickly, but not like that, according to what we were told. So to me, that was, God did it. Like, I had no second guesses, that was just God did it.
Yeah, and I'm over here going, all right, that's kind of cool. We'll see how it goes from there. And kind of after that, things were going smoothly, and then like, all right, I just kind of got behind the wagon, so the wagon was dragging me along.
I may have been the donkey at the time. I may have been pulling the wagon that was pulling him.
She's pulling the cart's dragging me, and neither one of us are in it where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So we had issues. Not divorceable issues, but maybe contemplating murder issues.
No.
But not divorce.
No.
And basically, we just kind of, after Tristan got better, we just got back into the routine that we had. And I did. She grew, and I stayed down here. And that went on for quite a while.
Probably 4 more years. Well, 3 more years till the blonde one came about.
Yeah, till the one that caused all the problem, the good pregnancy that caused a problem.
I had to,
So anyway,
just to touch that, the pregnancy with Tristan was difficult because I had started to bleed, it started to spot. And then I was like 3 centimeters dilated. 2 centimeters, no, I was what, bigger than that.
2 centimeters dilated and basically on bed rest from like 3 or 4 months on. So that put a strain on our relationship, but we got past that. But with Clint,
I worked right up until...
Yeah, Tristan was what, like 4? No, he was like 3.5 or so, and she went back to work. And she worked right up till what, 2 weeks before you had the other child, Clint?
I think it was a month.
Either way, she worked pretty much right up until she had him.
Yeah.
Which was good, because we were back to a two-income family, so we could pay our bills.
We could always pay our bills before, because God always made that happen. Even though
Well,
someone over
because
here
of
could
you.
not figure out how come he's looking at the checkbook going, there was no money, how did we pay these bills?
Yeah, because at this time, I don't even think we were tithing.
No, you were not tithing.
You know,
You were not tithing.
I'm in the boat of me.
You were in the boat of you.
Being I can do this. I can do this on my own. I don't need God to help us. I can do this.
No, your biggest thing was we can't afford we can't afford to tie.
Yep, which a lot of people struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we get to the point where we're going in to have the Clint, the second one.
The Clint.
The Clint, just Clint.
Just Clint.
And so she's in labor for a while, and he decided he didn't want to come out yet because he was happy in there.
No,
Him
it wasn't
and
that.
his
No,
huge head.
it wasn't. Yeah, that's what it was. It wasn't that he didn't want to come out. It was. I was having the contractions. It was just that he was so big. His head was so big that every time I had a contraction, I was paralyzed from the waist down.
So anyway, she pops out that 9'1" Porker kid with the basketball-sized head. And then the next day, her heart rate is still cranking out at 160, and it ain't going anywhere. So on the third day, the doctor, our PCP, and the baby doctor are in there with books that are ancient on the desk, trying to figure out what's going on, why things aren't progressing the way they should. So basically, they don't know, and the hospital we're at can't handle it. So they have people move their vehicles in the parking lot, because at this time the helipad
Yeah, the helipad was in the parking lot.
the helipad is in the parking lot, and if you're in one of those spaces, you gotta move.
Or get towed.
So they load her in a helicopter and send her to Dartmouth. And here I am with a 4.5-year-old and a new baby, and I don't know what to do with either one of them, but
Okay, so you did not grow up with little children around. See, I grew up with, I babysat and had lots of little cousins and nothing.
And when Tristan was born, I was working, so I'd just take care of him in the morning. Like, I'd change his diaper, feed him.
You got up with him at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Or 2 o'clock. Whenever he got up in the middle of the night, I got up so she could sleep or whatever. So when Clint comes along, I wasn't involved a lot in what went on with Tristan when he was a newborn. Because he was born, I worked for a couple days till they sent you home, and then I took like a week off, and that was it. Back to work, because that's just what it was. That's who I was then. So anyway, we have Clint, and her body's not doing what it's supposed to do. So they fly her to Dartmouth. It takes 15 minutes to go from Oakville to Dartmouth. It takes me 2 hours. I got a newborn baby. I don't know what to do. So
My father met me there.
yeah, but I don't know who took. Somebody took Tristan.
Was it
I don't think your mom took him. No, your mom went around.
No, it was either Rose and Sean.
I think it was Pastor Michelle.
Pastor and Michelle.
Well, I think Pastor Michelle took Tristan. I took Clint. We went to the hospital. We stopped at home and then went to Dartmouth. And we were there, met her father there, and we were there on and off till they decided to send you to Boston. So we get to Boston. They fly her from Dartmouth to Boston. So
The hospital wanted to send me home because at Dartmouth they were like, "Oh, it's nothing. It's just pregnancy stuff. It's just going to go away in a day or two."
Whatever.
And there was a nurse there, and she's like, "I know this. This is not normal. You don't just send someone home with this kind of thing going on. She could just die at home." And so she reached out to the cardiologist who was doing his
Yearly updates.
his at
Basically,
Boston.
I think they go there for like 2 weeks to learn stuff.
Yeah.
Because they're affiliated. So he was down there, so he wanted her in Boston, so
And if it wasn't for her,
that's where she went.
if it wasn't for her, they would have sent me home. So that again, in my way of looking, that was God. because she normally wasn't there. She wasn't supposed to be there. It wasn't even her time to be there. Like when we had this conversation with her, she's like, I should not have been there on that day. It was my day off. So.
Yeah, so anyway, they fly her to Dartmouth because we're just basically making this smaller because we don't have enough time in the day to drive this out. We're already at 40 minutes.
Oh, come on.
And so I drive down to Boston. I have no idea where I'm going, trying to get to Tufts Medical Center in Chinatown. So I get there. You got to park in the parking garage, and we are not city people, period. So we get that squared away, figure out where she is. The people there, the first people I dealt with were a pain in the ass. And
I don't remember any of this. So.
At this point, it's like, all right, you're going to tell me where my wife is or we're going to have some issues. And then, so they put me in this crappy room for the night. They're like, oh, what do you do? It's like, I drive a truck. They're like, well, where'd you park your truck? It's like, I came in my normal vehicle, you morons.
I didn't know that.
So they put me in one of these rooms in the hospital because at this point we're poor. So I spent the night there and basically dealt with the social worker the next day, who was great. Yeah. So we got that all squared away. I basically got whatever I needed for the baby. She took me right into the maternity ward. And basically...
Went shopping.
We went shopping. I had pre-made formula, I had diapers, everything I could possibly need. This great lady got it all for me, and I think she was even younger than I was, or my age.
Yeah, she was. Well, I want to say, yeah, she was about our age.
So we get that squared away, figure out what's going on, and they're like, well, you can't stay here with a new baby. It's like, well, what do you mean I can't stay here?
Let's also make it very clear that at this point in time, he's 26 years old.
Yeah.
So people are thinking this is now 26. He was 26 years old.
At this point, the miracle of Tristan has worn off, so I'm back to being one of those cold...
disgruntled employees.
Cold Christians, basically. We're going to whatever church, I'm not into it, I'm just going through the motions at this point. And some of you all who know me now or from then will go, yeah, you were there, but not where you should have been.
He was there physically, but he was not there spiritually.
You know, if it was nice out on a Sunday, I was going fishing, I was going hunting, I was doing anything but going to church because it's nice out. Or I got too much to do at home and I can't afford the 3 hours out of my day is going to put me that far behind. That's where I was at this point. Now, mind you, we still got the farm critters. She's in the hospital in Boston. I've got 2 little kids, a 4.5-year-old and a newborn at this point, trying to run the farm. We got puppies. At this point, did we have puppies then?
Yeah, I think they were born right after Flip was born.
No, we had puppies later.
No,
it was after.
It wasn't much long after because I wasn't even around when they were born. I was in the hospital.
So basically, for better terms, it was a shit show. We got farm critters, we got puppies. She's in Boston, I'm in Tuftonboro. We got the 4.5-year-old and the newborn. And I'm fighting with the state to get any type of assistance. I have it out with whatever lady I dealt with. I swear that this woman, yelled at her, basically told her she was useless at her job and welfare was a joke. So you can imagine me at 26 being a cold Christian and just losing it on this woman. I get a phone call probably an hour later from the head of Health and Human Services. And this lady is apologetic. She's like, they should have never done what they basically told you. We're here to help you. So I had everything you could imagine under the sun after this lady got done. So at this point, things are starting to get a little bit better. I'm only allowed probably for the first week you were there at Tufts, I was able to bring Clint. And then we had one of the higher ups come and tell me, oh, somebody's going to steal your kid at night while you're sleeping in the room. I looked right at the lady and basically told her, if somebody can steal this kid out of the cardiomyopathy wing at Tufts Medical Center from behind my chair in the bed, you guys are
the problem, not...
You're the problem, not me. So from that point on, when I wanted to spend nights at Tufts, I was not allowed to bring Clint. So we had the pastors at the church and our friends would take turns watching the boys while I would go down for 3 days. I would spend
Friday
3 days.
night to Sunday.
Well, no, I'd spend the middle of the week down there, or a couple days in the week down there, and then I would come back, and then 1 day a week I would bring the boys down to Boston so that they could see her. But while this is going on, it wasn't, basically after they put the pump in and basically said she's probably going to need a transplant was basically the breaking point. I'm at home trying to take care of everything going, I don't know what to do anymore. Basically, it's like, again, God, if you're real, you need to fix this situation because I can't.
He hit rock bottom.
Again, second time.
Yeah, but this time was real rock bottom. Before it was just...
At this point, I got 2 kids, and there's a good possibility that I'm going to be a single dad, basically.
Can't afford the house we live in. Can't afford any of the bills. Like, this is
not
real rock
working.
bottom.
I may become a single parent, so we're looking at going, all right, if this doesn't work out, we're going to Alaska, we're going to disappear. Nobody's ever going to see or hear from us again, and that would be just fine. So I'm believing,
You don't know what you're believing.
I don't even know what to do at this point.
You kind of just gave it up to God.
Yes.
I don't know what to do. Here you go.
So, we got we got lambs and all that stuff, and I'm just struggling to maintain any type of sanity and a farm and try to be a parent. I mean, Tristan's the one watching Clint while I'm doing chores, trying to just exist, basically. And it just got to the point, it's like, I can't do this anymore, God. Something's got to give. And I've been in church enough and watched enough stuff on TV that I know what to do. I'm just, at this point, the pride I carried through life, being able to take care of my family, was no longer there. And that's hard to deal with.
You're human. And that's the difference is that people think in their own capacity. I can do this in my own capacity. I can do it. If I can't physically do it, or I can't, I can figure out how to do it if I don't know how to do it. But when you literally are presented with, there is nothing for you to do, that's what it was. It came down to a point where there was nothing for him to do. He could not fix me. He could not fix the situation. He could not be the person he ultimately thought he could be all the time. And as a human, to realize that you have limitations, that is something that you have to take a hold of and go, okay, I cannot do this in my own power. At that moment, when you acknowledge that you cannot do it in yourself, that's when God can move. Because you have died to self. You have given up self, and you're saying, okay, God, I can't do it, so you have to. That is, I hate to say it like this, but it's the truth. That's giving up control. You gave up the self-control situational thing where I was controlling this. But when you cannot control it, you don't know how to control it, or you can't control it anymore, and you realize that because that's where you hit that point where you could not do it. It was no longer in your control.
Yeah, and when you have a handle on life and then that happens and you lose control, basically it was when they said she needed a transplant and it was going to take a while, that it's like, all right, I got to figure something out, and I'm not going to be able to do this in my own strength, basically. So I'm out there in the barn doing my chores, telling God if he's real, he's got to figure out something. He's got to fix this problem, because I don't want to be a single father. I need somebody to help me raise these kids. So unless he's
not me, just somebody.
If she dies, this isn't going to be good. Because we'd already come through a lot of rough patches to get to where we were, that there wasn't a lot to fall back on in the worldly sense. So basically it was, you need to fix her because I can't do this by myself. And that was the point where this became real. That God was real, what he could do for you was real, and I put my faith that that was where I needed to be to get through the situation I was in. Now, this has nothing to do with, this was my own struggle. She's going through her own thing, being stuck at the hospital 3 hours away from her husband and her kids. Because at this point, she had the heart pump put in, had a stroke, basically having a hard time. And we were one of the only ones that went home with that specific LVAD pump system. That
it was an external unit, which is why now when you get a pump, you can go home with it because it's an internal unit. And I had an external unit. It means I had to be plugged into electricity.
Yeah, the pump was inside, but there was a drive line that come out, and she either needed to be hooked up to these two batteries or plugged into the machine in the wall.
Yeah.
So we were one of the only ones that went home with that. People go to a nursing home or whatever, but we were one of the only ones that went home, like home. And that was probably God, because we fought so hard for that. And that was when we found out that they put her on the transplant list. And she'd been home for a little bit. And what sucked was we'd have to go to Boston once a week. And there was always that
fear, or that they fear-mongered in that sense of going, oh, well, if it's not good enough, if you're not doing good enough, or if this happens or that happens, you won't go home.
Yeah, they feared us into that, and basically, I forget why you had to spend a couple days there, but
I had to drive out infection once.
Yeah, but when I was taking care of you, you didn't have that. You went in, you had to go in for something else, and you were there for like a week, and then you came home and you had that nasty infection because they couldn't do their jobs.
But that's the thing is that you get the hospitals are not the healthy, they're not healthy places.
She was on the when they put you on the transplant list, you automatically go to the top. This is how it worked 17 years ago. You're at the top for however long, and then you start slowly going down. But then when the infection was really bad, that puts you back up near the top. And so with that infection, she stayed. You weren't the first here, but she was like the second one down.
Also, you have to look at, I'm O negative.
Yeah.
which means I need an O negative heart. So I could be at the top of the list and
But
not
not
receive
really.
a heart for several months because of my blood type, not because I wasn't good enough to receive one or didn't need one that bad. It was that the hearts that may have come in were not matches. So there's a lot that goes with being on a transplant list. It's not just blood type; it has to be appropriate in age and sex and all the different aspects that have to kind of line up.
So she's got the pump. We're at home. I hate to use the word religiously going to church, but we're going to church.
I don't remember, so that's.
We're getting.
I don't remember from.
I'm
being
getting
home
what I
to
need out of it.
transplant.
I'm basically diving into it to get.
You want to know. You want
I
the
need-
knowledge.
I
You
need
it.
to know what to do, how to do it, and do it the right way so that God will heal her whatever we're believing for, and we are believing for a new heart.
And let's just be specific on that. We said a new heart. We did not say a brand new heart that I had, that my heart was healed to a new heart, or that I was given a new heart. We were believing for a new heart. Just
Basically supernatural healing. And we're going to church every time the doors are open. We're going to see special speakers that are within striking distance of our house that we can afford to go to, because at this time we're still living off the state.
I don't remember being home. I don't.
And there was stuff that we were able to get to. I think we were able to get to one night of when Rodney Howard Brown was in Concord. We got to one of those meetings. She had a prayer cloth from somebody else.
Hagen.
Because we weren't able to get to that. I think you were in the hospital with that one.
Because
some of the ladies from church brought that to you when visiting.
And the nurses, and the great thing with that is the nurses always made sure
That
every
it was
time I had
clean.
every time they had, because you have to get changed every day. You put a new Johnny on every day, and so they would take it off and they would put it back. They put it back to
I don't remember if that was before or after the transplant.
I think it was before.
I don't know, everything blurred, but at that point,
I remember a lot more after the transplant than previous.
but once she was at Tufts and had the pump, that's when God became real, like real quick. And I was able to progress very quickly in certain areas just because of when you're struggling in life and God becomes real, those things in which you're struggling, you want to find everything you can in that area to move forward. So that was the second time. It's like, all right, this has got to work. If this works this time, we're going for it. And it's a terrible thing to say because, when it happened with Tristan, it's like, all right. And I'm not one of those radically changed people. I'm slow, I'm dumb, whatever. I miss stuff all the time. So
I'm slow, not stupid.
when it got to that, when this all went down with Billy Sue and with Clint being born, it was one of those eye-opening things of, what do I do? The only thing I had to do, or the only thing I knew that would work, was to go do what I did when Tristan was sick. And just dove into it like that. And within 3 months of being put on the transplant list, she gets a heart transplant 5 days after our 5th wedding anniversary. And it was the 5th one, right? Mm-hmm. So that was 5 days after.
No, 6 weeks.
Tristan had just turned 5, so our 6th wedding anniversary.
Yes.
And you know, at this point, we didn't go do anything. She's got a heart pump. She's plugged into the wall. We got batteries. We got 2 kids. We're, you know, waiting for the mortgage company to take our house. So just that alone, that she was able to get a transplant that quickly was, there's no other way to explain it other than God had his hands in it. However you want to look at it, miracle, whatever. God had his hand in it, because you don't have a type O negative heart and get a heart in 3 months. And some of the medical people at Tufts, the doctors and the nurses, were like, whatever you believe must have worked, because this doesn't happen. So, and we'll just, how that went down was...
I don't like to go through the whole whys, this, that, and the other. I'm not that kind of person. But what we do know is that the family chose me for a heart.
Yep.
It was something that they said, we will only give the heart to this situation. And
we were that
situation. Like,
yep.
It wasn't something, and then even the doctors were like, this doesn't happen.
So basically, a tragedy for somebody was our miracle.
Yeah. And we're not going to go down the road of, oh, so you think God did? No, I don't. I fully believe that God uses all of the things that the devil uses against people. He turns it for good. So that was an attack on a different family that God turned around and made it a good situation. No, it's not a perfect thing, but we're not going to go into what God's doing. I'm sorry. I'm not. We're not gonna go into that, because we live in a fallen world.
So at this point, we're at the fact of, all right, God brought this new heart to her. We weren't specific enough, I guess you want to say, in our prayer when we were believing for a new heart.
We were literally just a new heart. That was it.
You know, we should have, in hindsight, we could have been more specific, but at the same time, this gives us a better testimony, whether it's to people who believe or people who may be on the fence, or like me, whereas like you've kind of not necessarily backslidden, but just kind of stepped to the side a little bit. You know, the wagon's dragging you down the road because you ain't in it.
At least you're walking behind it. It wasn't like,
no,
I had your feet tied and I was dragging you.
For a while there, it was the wagon was dragging me and she was pulling it. We were where you're
at this point in time, when I'm in the hospital and everything, believing God for, the heart has failed, believing God for have the heart pump, I'm sitting in the wagon with God, because at this point in time, God already had warned me that a battle was coming. When I was pregnant for Clint, it wasn't probably a month before that I saw a vision, and I knew, I kept hearing, prepare for battle. And so, okay, at that point is when I dove into God. So when this all happened, there wasn't a time, I never questioned, God, what's going on, or why is this happening? I knew from beginning to end that I was going to be fine. I knew that I was not going to die. I knew I wasn't. I knew that I knew I was going to live, and I knew I had to live for you. Because I knew that God said that if I had died, that you would run. So I already knew this, like in the hospital, it was something I knew just in my spirit, that if I died, that Scott was going to run to Alaska. I knew that, even though you hadn't, it wasn't like something you had said to me at the time. It was something we discussed later, but it was something that I knew. I knew that if I died, that he would run and the boys would be lost. And so I knew that God was going to bring me through, and that he had his hand on my life, Everything was going to be great. God was in control. And I knew that in my spirit. And I knew that I was going to live and I was going to be testimony to you. So it's like I knew that. This whole time, I'm just, the amount of times the doctors said to me that I wasn't going to survive, or I loved it when the nurses would come and be like, "You're the happiest dying person we've ever met." And be like, "Thanks, but I'm not dead yet." So, I can't count how many times I was told I was going to die. Or not make it. Or, "Oh, don't get your hopes up."
So at this point where, she's post-transplant, you only spend 2 weeks in the hospital, then they send you home.
I was home for Thanksgiving.
Yep. And basically, after Christmas you started feeling crappy?
That's when the stomach issues started happening.
So, things are good. She's got her transplant. We're going to Boston. I think at that point we're going every other week.
Still figuring out, making sure your immunosuppressants are appropriate.
Because the first month you go once a week, and then after that you go every other week till they feel comfortable, because it took us a long time to get to once a month.
Yeah.
So we're going every other week. And we're still trying to figure out this new life that we're embarking on. Not only for me being not step to the side cold Christian, being all right, this is what we're doing, and be involved in church, doing what you're supposed to do, basically, reading the Bible, praying, that type of thing, living the right way, for a better lack of words. So anyway, we're doing okay. We're learning our new lifestyle, and then she starts having these stomach issues, and it's like, oh, here we go. Now what? And then she ends up staying in Boston, and if you've ever gone to a regular doctor's appointment and had to leave your wife there and leave with your kids, it is not easy. Should have picked something else to talk about.
You're human. People think that where we sit and they don't understand that what we've been through, it was a toll. It wasn't just a toll. This isn't just a spiritual, it's not just spiritually. There was a spiritual toll. It's a physical toll. It's a mental toll. Because you are not just, you're not just one thing. Remember, you are a spirit being that, has a soul and lives in this body, and you are all of those things. Your mind, will, and emotions. And so, one thing that can happen, it's not just, you're a whole being, and so it does take a toll. It wasn't an easy ride. I've had so many people who are like, "Oh, but you're good now." Thank you for dismissing the difficulties that we went through, because it's what it is. So anytime anyone dismisses, what you've been through, and I don't mean it like you're not a victim anymore. I'm sorry. We went through some things, but we are not victims. But it was real, and that's what you're seeing. It's real. These are real things we went through that were hard.
So I think it was February.
It was February.
The first time they kept her.
February 15th.
And it was CMV, so they needed to give her infusions of stuff that comes in a glass jar. So if any of y'all got medical knowledge, when they're giving you drugs that's in a glass jar,
and they dress
glass
up,
bottle,
a glass bottle, and they dress up in
suits with
hazmat.
suits and gloves, it ain't good. So the girl that Billy Sue got her heart from had CMV, which I think now probably 3/4 of the country or the world has.
It's something
CMV.
like 80% of the world has.
It's just an intestinal virus that healthy people get. You're sick for a couple days and then
But you
you're
carry
good.
it, yeah.
But where she had never had it, it caused a problem. And when they tested her, they had just switched to a new counting system or whatever, or way they measure it. And she was like off the charts. So like, how
We've
are you
never
still?
had- yeah.
We've never gotten numbers this high before. We don't know what to do with you. So she was in the hospital getting these infusions 3 times a week. So it's like every other day. We're doing, I'm down in Boston a couple days a week, and then I go down with the boys one. And she isn't getting any.
Not getting any worse, but I'm not getting any better.
The numbers are going down, but physically she's not getting any better. So basically she pulls out the mentally unstable card.
I did not. I told them, because they were refusing to allow the boys to stay. They were only giving him this much time, so he had to show up within this window of time, and they were not allowing them to come and stay any length of time.
We could spend
And
most
so-
of the day.
And so I had said to them, because they would not allow them to spend the night at all.
Because somebody's going to steal your kids in the hospital. That was their thing.
excuse. And he could come and stay like for 2 or 3 days, but they wouldn't allow him to bring the kids. So literally, I was alone 90% of the time. And I told them that they were killing me because they were not allowing me to see my kids. Like, I've got babies, and they are growing up without me. And so I told them that they were killing me. And that got me a psych eval. And then the psych lady was like, "Why do you want to kill yourself?" I didn't say I wanted to kill myself. Who told you that?
I said you were killing me.
I
So
said, you
basically-
people in the hospital, this hospital is killing me because you won't let me see my kids. And she was like, "Oh, you want to see your kids more?" "Yeah. And you guys aren't letting my husband bring the kids more. You guys are being limited. You're limiting him." And then she said, "Okay, well, I'm going to see what I can do about that." And then,
So I got to learn how, again, got more medical training. So they allowed her to go home. And I think at that point we were going to Boston 3 days a week so she could get her infusion. 2 were long days, 1 was a short day. But they set us up in the sketchy old wing infusion center at Tufts, where they'd bring in a TV with a DVD
Yep.
player. So we brought movies,
or a
we brought
VHS player. There
stuff.
was a VHS player.
We brought stuff for the kids to do, and we'd go spend the day at the hospital 3 days a week. But she was at home and got progressively better.
Yeah, I went from, the thing is I
And-
remember having infusions every day. I remember having infusions Monday through Friday. And 2 on Wednesdays. That's what I remember.
But it got to where we were going to Boston 3 days a week. When they let her go home, we had to agree to drive back 3 days a week. It's like, we're not going to jeopardize.
I was
Yes.
having less infusions, because that was their biggest issue, was I was having less infusions.
Yeah, because she was only getting them 3 days a week anyway. And that was why we had our issues with them. So we're going to Boston 3 days a week, and her numbers got to the point where we were able to convince them to do at-home infusions. So we got all the stuff delivered. It was just gravity feed, but we were getting the meds delivered. I had to sign for them. I flushed her PICC line. I set her up. Basically, I was the one giving her infusions, once a week or whatever.
At that point in time, I think it was once a week.
By the time we got discharged from the 3 times a week, it was just once a week at the house. And all this time, she was at home getting better quicker than the 2 months she spent in the hospital. 3 months. Basically, we had to fight to get her home for her birthday in July. So I think this ongoing CMV thing lasted like 3 months. It was very difficult, not only on her being in the hospital, but me being at home with the boys. And
My last infusion was in August.
I think at that point we weren't living in Tuftonboro anymore.
No, when the infusions started, we were in Effingham.
No, we did the infusions in Tuftonboro.
When we started driving to the infusions. You did the infusions first. I was pretty sure that...
We were doing the infusions in Tuftonboro, but we were building stuff in Effingham.
But I thought the infusions started in May.
Yes, and we were in the process.
At the Tuftonboro house.
Yes, and we were done doing the infusions because we weren't getting them delivered in Effingham. We were all done by then.
No, we were doing... It was the traveling down there when we were in Effingham. The 3 times a week. We were going down. We were in Effingham when that started. I remember walking out to the blue truck, throwing up, getting in the truck and driving down. That was Effingham.
Yeah, but we weren't doing the infusions there.
No, the infusions were at Tufts.
No, but they were in Tuftonboro too, because we didn't do infusions when we were living in Effingham.
No, you mean at the actual place. No, I remember receiving infusions, but I thought it was May in Tuftonboro.
Oh, it could have
been. You were
been.
doing the infusions at the house.
Maybe, I don't remember. It was just, at that point, life sucked again. We had a good stretch, and then life sucked again. But at that point, I wasn't having any issues wavering in faith that we were going to get through this. It was just another thing that got thrown at us that sucked. So we got through all of that. We are living in this, basically, I had built a storage shed, and we were living in that.
12 by 12, 12 by 24.
12 by 24 insulated shed. Basically, cabin with a tarp roof. And then we were blessed with a camper.
Yep.
That was sketchy, but it got us through the winter. Meanwhile, we were building a house. So we were doing that. She was doing good. She was helping. We were milling wood. She was driving the tractor. I cut down the trees. She hauled the logs out. And either her or Tristan would unhook the logs, and then she'd come out and get more. I ran the mill, milled out lumber, and basically worked through the winter building a house. God provided just about everything we needed when we did that, because we were able to basically God provided everything we needed or the funds to get it, so we weren't into it for a whole lot. We were into it for
Less than $1,000.
gasoline, bar and chain oil, diesel
what we actually
fuel.
purchased was less than $1,000.
Yeah, so basically, and we were also doing critters too at the time. We had a couple of goats, and we got rid of the pigs. Pigs went to freezer camp. We had a couple of goats, and I think we'd already shipped the sheep off.
Mm-hmm.
The sheep went to Connecticut.
We had the cow that went off.
Yeah, we shipped the cow, and then we just had a couple of
We had
goats.
like 4 goats.
And life was good. We had electricity, no running water.
It's awesome.
That was probably one of the best times, was when we were building the house, because we were living off grid basically. I mean, we had power, phone, internet, but we didn't have running water. The boys didn't know any different. I mean, we had an outhouse. We were living life enjoying life, actually. Even though we didn't have a whole lot, we had our faith in God and we had each other. And without that, we probably wouldn't have made it to where we are now. So through the winter, we worked on the house, milled out lumber till the snow got too deep. Then we just existed, basically.
In the camper.
Yeah, we were just shut-ins. And I worked in the woods so we couldn't pull logs anymore. And we got a lot of snow that year. That sucked. I had no place to put it. Our driveway and basically parking lot area looked like a parking lot from a mall. There was these snow banks as high as the tractor would push it. It was just a disaster. Or was that when we were in the house with all that snow? Actually, there's 2 winters in a row we got a lot of snow.
Well, all the snow when we were in the house, we pushed it against the house.
So anyway, we're building a house. We're going to, I think at this point we transferred to Dartmouth that winter.
No.
Were we still going to Tufts?
We went to Tufts for a long time.
No, we were going, by that winter, I think we were going to Dartmouth. Because I think you had your first annual at Dartmouth. Because we had pushed to go to...
Yeah, because it would have been year 3 because of, So we would have just started to go to Dartmouth.
So by the end of the first year, or around the end of the first year of the transplant and the CMV issue, we were able to, I believe we were going to Dartmouth.
I think it was the 3rd year we went to Dartmouth. I think it was after
It could have been the 2nd year, I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was the first year. Did you have a stress test at Tufts?
Mm-hmm.
So apparently that winter we were still going to...
It wasn't a running stress test. That was the one where they did the biopsies. Because I did multiple biopsies there.
The first year we went to Tufts. So that following year we pushed to go to Dartmouth because it was closer and it was a better ride. So after we spent that winter in the camper, which was interesting, some mornings you'd wake up and it'd be cold in there because the furnace would go out, but it was still calling for heat, so it would be blowing cold air. So there was many a morning we woke up, or in the middle of the night we woke up and it was cold. We lived. I
don't know if the boys remember.
Tristan may remember, but Clint was still little. And...
yeah, you made a crib for him in the back of the camper.
Yep. So that spring we continued on building the house and continued to go to the doctor's appointments and do what we could to make the best of the cards we'd been dealt, which from the outside looking in, we got dealt a losing hand big time. We bet the farm on, a pair of 2s, basically, and lost. But looking back now, that second summer we were building the house was probably one of the best years we had up until that point. Because we'd had a rough year and a half. 2 years. So we were making the best of it, continuing to progress in our walk with God. She was still ahead of me, but I'd caught up. I'd only been really doing it for that time she was sick, and I had progressed significantly. And so that year was good. We were getting back involved with the church because she was feeling better. And we were just cruising along. God was providing us what we needed to do the house. We were able to get the electricity in and wire it. We had the roof. We were able to, we did the whole roof for free. Some of y'all ain't gonna believe that, but I literally roofed this house for like what it cost to get a roll of bituthane and 2 rolls of tar paper.
And whatever gas it took to go to Rochester to get those.
Because I forget where the nails came from, but I had nails.
Mm-hmm. Still have nails.
I got rid of those.
Okay.
But anyway, God's providing us all the materials we need. You know, we're finding stuff for free, cheap money. We insulated the ceiling. Like I said, we did the roof. People gave us stuff. And by the time we were able to move into the house around, Halloween? Or before?
It was Halloween because I got pictures of the boys.
So anyway, it was September. Mid-September.
Maybe the 1st of October, around the 1st of October. But yeah, it was...
We were into the...
because it was after Tristan's birthday. Because we had his birthday in the field. And we were not in the house at that point.
So basically, I was able to build a house that we could live in like 8 or 9 months. Weather-tight house. Not finished on the inside, but livable.
Yeah, there was insulation,
The inside floors were done. We had a stove, we had bedrooms, we had lights.
Just not running water in the bathroom.
We had a dryer, and we had a bucket, and an outhouse still. And we had plenty of slab wood to burn because we had a wood stove, and that's how we heated the place.
Oh yeah, all that.
All the slab wood that we'd milled to build a house, we were just burning. Granted, most of it was hemlock, but you burn what's free. So, at that point, life was good. We had Christmas, we had Thanksgiving somewhere else. We had our own Christmas. Then we went to Connecticut. Mm-hmm. And life was good till March. And
we had Clint's birthday in there. A lot of people came.
Yeah, we had
his birthday.
Basically Clint's birthday and kind of a... Did we do the housewarming thing at the same time?
On the 20th of March, we had Clint's birthday, which was a Sunday. And
then the following week...
Following Sunday.
We're at church, and our friends show up because our house burnt to the ground, literally. Basically, some fire was started, and the propane tank that was right next to the house,
which had been filled that week,
fueled it. So if you can imagine a 120-gallon upright propane tank
right next to the
fueling
house,
a rough sawn sheathed hemlock and pine house. It burned hot, it burned quick, and it melted everything. The satellite dish that was probably 75 feet away was melted. All the trees in that clearing were scorched. Burnt a truck. Melted the camper, which was probably 75 feet away. Melted the window that we hadn't put in yet. Melted everything. There was no snow. And it literally burnt to the 6x8 beams in the concrete. Right to the ground. There was nothing. So that was the next tragedy that was very hard to deal with. And probably for most people, that probably would have been I've had enough of this. I don't want to play this game anymore. car. Basically, since I married you, it's been nothing but a tragedy. But that's not where I was. I didn't blame her. I didn't blame God. That was just an attack of the devil on our lives. And at that point, it was like, all right, I know we ain't doing anything wrong. Whatever the plan is for our lives as a family and as a couple must be good enough that this is the third time the devil has come at us
As a family, as a whole.
as a family, whole group, as to try to take us out. Now, you can look at if you were home and didn't go to church, it may not have happened, but a lot of
They could have just done it the next time.
it could have been, what are you going to do, prolong it a week, or would we have died being there?
What if what if the people had decided, they didn't go to church, we're going to do it tonight while they sleep.
And we didn't know what the circumstances were other than that. After the initial shock wore off, that this house we just spent a year building with our own two hands, we're now homeless. And not to, basically, when you see these tragedies on TV, my heart goes out to them because I know what a joke the Red Cross is. They literally gave the boys a blanket and a stuffed animal, and they're like, we can put you up in a hotel for one night and then you're on your own. So, don't give your money.
At least that's what we were offered. Okay, that's what they're like, oh, we might be able to get you a voucher for a meal or something, but they were there and they were just like, oh, here we are, here, like they look good, but it wasn't. They couldn't, like, what is one night in a hotel going to do for us? I mean, great, yeah, one night we're not on the streets, but that's not a permanent. There's no permanent help. Like, listen, we could help you do this.
The clothes on our backs, a cell phone, and 2 vehicles. That was it. We were...
And it wasn't like we're not talking about really good vehicles. We're not talking about that. Not great vehicles. And one wasn't even actually ours. It was just my father had... that's the one we were driving. The one that my father just let us...
He'd given it to us at that point, I think.
It's still in his name, though.
But either way, there's this next tragedy, within 3 years of this. So that just pushed us to progress more and try to, I hate to say figure out what our plan is, but that's basically like...
It's a purpose. What is our purpose?
What is our purpose in life that these tragedies keep hitting us and propelling us, but at the same time almost setting you back? Because in reality, when your house burns down and you lose everything, that's a step back. But we were able to overcome it, and within a year and a half?
Not on our own. I mean, God, that was the thing. That's the big thing, is to say, because we didn't run away from God during the situation, we ran to Him. It was a very, I don't want to say, it was a real quick turn. A year and a half is a long time. But it was not a lifelong setback.
So that was what?
It was 11.
So our house burned down in the spring of 11.
And by October of 12, we were in a rental.
Yeah, we were in a rental. We left that town, and we were there for 2 years? Or 3?
At the rental.
Either way.
Yeah, we were there for 3 years because we showed up at the rental October of 12, and then we moved into the house we bought in September 15.
So in 3.5 to 4 years,
From house burning down to buying a new house was 4.5 years.
We were able to fix our credit and
Got up, we stood up,
it.
we wiped ourselves off, and we just.
because we didn't have anybody to go, oh, here you go. I mean, we are grateful for the people that helped us when our house burned down. We spent a couple nights at 3 different people's houses, not to overwhelm anybody. And then some friends that were in town, they moved away, and we were able to rent their house for a year. And in that year, we were able to work on our credit because I was working. I went back to work, and we were able to make deals with the creditors. Either they would accept a very small payment or what have you, but we were able to start working on our credit. And enough so that in that time, that 4.5 year time frame, we were able to rebuild our credit enough
To be able to buy a house.
to go through USDA Rural Development to buy a house. And in that time frame, we, in a notebook, were very specific as to what we were looking for in a house. Right down to the colors of the carpet, the colors on the walls. Mm-hmm. And after we bought our house and had found that, I don't know, months later.
It had to have been 4 or 5 months later.
There, we found that notebook, and we opened it up and read it, and the colors of the rooms and the carpets that we were looking for were there. Mm-hmm. The only thing was that this house was a Cape and not a ranch. That was the only thing. It had a full basement. Yep. It had, the one boy wanted a blue room, the other one wanted a green room. Whatever specific color we were looking for in the living room.
Yeah,
carpet,
dusty rose.
Carpet, nice kitchen.
We did not want our room carpeted.
Our bedroom wasn't. We had basically a master suite upstairs, 3/4 bath with basically an office and a bedroom. And what basically came of that is when you're looking for something, be specific. Don't just go, I'll take anything. Be specific.
Yeah. If you need a truck, and this is the basics of what we're talking about. If you need a truck, don't ask God. Don't be like, oh, I'll take a minivan. No, if you need a truck, ask God for a truck.
And be specific.
God, I need a truck. It's got to have an 8-foot bed. It needs a 6-foot bed. Whatever it is, be specific.
Color, trim package, all that stuff.
I mean, we were specific because he's like, I need a garage. He's like, I need at least a 1-car garage. And there were things that we had put on that list that we needed at least We needed at least an acre. We got an acre and almost a half. And he's like, I need at least a 1-car garage. And it was a oversized garage.
With storage
space above. We needed at least 3 bedrooms. We got 4. We were like, well, we need at least a half of a basement we can use. We got a full basement. So we actually had these things down. And it literally said at least a 3-bedroom. At least a 1-car garage.
Yeah, at least a bathroom and a half.
Yeah, we wanted at least a bathroom and a half. It had to have at least a second bathroom to use. And we got a bathroom and 3. If you are specific with God, He will show you, hey, listen, I saw your specifics and I gave you the above and beyond. But you have to believe that. Because that's where we were at that time. We've been through a lot of crap. So when you hear either one of us be like, well, with everything we've been through, now you're hearing everything we've been through.
So basically, we took what we were going to do in the house that we built that burnt to the ground and transferred that to what we wanted in our next house. And mind you, it was 2 months after the house burnt down, there was another house in town that we got to call 911 because it was on fire.
Yeah, we drove past, it was on fire, so we were the first callers for that.
Yeah, you want to talk about hard?
Because I don't know if anyone actually saw and called. It wasn't until, by the time someone called 911 for our house, it was
too late.
It was beyond. And for those that are having things to say, it wasn't like we just lost our home, and we don't care about the stuff. Everything is replaceable. We've learned that over the years. Everything is replaceable. But we lost 3 dogs and a cat as well, along with a bunny rabbit. And these are things that are not replaceable. Yeah, you can get another dog, but it ain't ever going to be that same dog. No. And you can, get another cat, but it's never going to be the same cat. Those are things that are irreplaceable. So when people want to say, oh, all this horrible stuff, we were not home. I thank God every moment I can during all the stuff that we went through. Thank you, God, that we were not home. Thank you, God, this didn't happen at night, in the middle of the night, when we were stuck upstairs and needing to jump out windows with a 3-year-old and an 8-year-old. And, you have to look at the situation and thank God for the little things. You have to be able to look at the bright side of everything in life. And I don't ever want to hear someone say there's no bright side of life, because even if you don't want to take his testimony for it, I am living proof that there is a bright side. Because I could easily take everything, and it could not be a bright side. I refuse to be that negative. I'm sorry. It's a choice to be negative. It's a choice for you to decide. It was Scott's choice to go, okay, God, I'm trusting in you. He could have never even...
Could have just bailed right at the beginning.
Yeah, he could have just never even done that. And yeah, a lot of people will be like, dude, you'd have been better off had you... You know what? You don't know that. First off, I would love to say, standing and walking through the fire. I don't know, have you ever think that you are going to own a 20,000 square foot building on 3 acres?
No. Outright? No mortgage?
No mortgage, no. So
we were back to what it was. We bought our house in 15. We were living the good life there for a while, and then she started having, again,
2018.
Her having problems.
It was in 2018.
She started having swelling in her legs and these weird dots all over the place, and we went back and forth for
about 6 months.
6 months of them doing tests and trying to figure out what it was. In the meantime, she's always having these sinus infections, probably 2 or 3 a year.
My tonsils would be swollen and stay swollen for months.
So we were pushing to get her tonsils removed because they were bad. They should have been done. So if you ever get the chance with your kids when they're little, get rid of the tonsils. You don't need them. They just get in the way. They collect snot and cause issues. So finally we get the okay and approval for her to have that surgery. And they take her tonsils out, and the swelling and the spots go away. And then we get the test results that somebody has lymphoma.
They had diagnosed me previous with the spots. Because of the spots, they had diagnosed me. The doctors had stated I had RA. And that was my body's reaction to the amount of RA flowing through my body.
They say you've got lymphoma. And then the hard part is the doctor doesn't really go into it. He was just the ENT guy. He's like, yeah, we biopsied your tonsils. You got lymphoma. I'm sorry. Click. Was basically the gist of that conversation. So we get a phone call from the cardiologist, and she's like, this isn't anything you need to worry about. Basically, just about everybody who has a transplant after 10 years typically gets some form of
lymphoma.
Basically, post-transplant lymphoma, whatever.
Disease.
So it's like, all right, so it's not that bad.
PTLD is what they call it.
It's not that bad if it happens, if it's just the side effect of the transplant and being able to continue to live, we can deal with that.
It's actually, the whole reason it happens is because you're on an immunosuppressant.
So this may sound weird, but when they told us she had lymphoma, it really didn't faze me at all.
I wasn't even, nope.
You know, yes, it is cancer, but it is treatable, and the more we learned
It wasn't
about
even like that. It wasn't even that. When they first said I had that oh, you've got lymphoma. I was like, okay, and is this something you're telling me my God can't do anything about?
And the more we learned about it and talked to the different doctors that we dealt with, there was people who could be in remission for 10 plus years. So the lymphoma wasn't even an issue. It was more of a pain to have to go get an infusion the first time.
Yeah.
And so also this is when the vid was going on. So we're at...
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, technically, no, it was 19. It was April of 19. So it was May of 19 when I had the first set of...
Yeah, so it was before the vid, sorry.
Well, it was out there, but it wasn't like the thing.
So we go and see the cancer doctor who I didn't really care for to begin
Neither
with.
did I.
And it's during COVID, so you got to wear your mask and stuff. And this was the last appointment of the day. We've gone to... I had to
Like
get
4 other doctors?
approval from the hospital to go to her appointments, but because she's got memory issues, I had no problem getting in. So last appointment of the day. This is like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
This is actually after. So what you're talking about, that
We'd
appointment.
been to
I had already had the first set of infusions. This is the second set of infusions. So
This was just a regular appointment with that bitch.
No, I mean,
And
this was after the first set of infusions. So now
you've been getting infusions up at the other.
right,
vet.
but this is now like March of 2020.
Yeah, we've been at it for a little bit. It may have even been later. But anyway, we go to this. We'd been to probably 4 other appointments because that was our typical trip to Dartmouth. This woman loses her shit because I'm in this room. Like, flips out, tells me I gotta leave.
You can't be here. I don't know how you even got in here. They shouldn't have let you in here. You can't be in here. You need to leave. Already in the office, the appointment room.
So basically, I was like, fine, screw you. So I go sit in the waiting room. I didn't even leave the hospital. I was pissed. Basically, she didn't sit in that appointment very long because she had an out of body on the woman. This woman has the nerve to call me later. I didn't pick up the phone because it had ended in some sort of assault charges, basically. Because yes,
He's still human.
I'm still human, and at that point,
Still working on it.
At that point, the flesh was winning that day. The flesh won the day. We'll just leave it at that. So basically, Billy Sue tells this lady, don't bother calling him. He ain't going to answer the phone. He doesn't want to talk to you. So she called and left a message on my cell phone, and naturally, I didn't answer it. So I think she called, 2 or 3 days later?
Yep.
And I lit that woman up on the phone. It was great. Again, the flesh won that day too. We were struggling that week. The flesh was coming out on top. And
it wasn't okay. The actual time that you had that conversation with her, it wasn't like you were being obnoxiously horrible. You laid out facts. The facts are that you live with an immune compromised person 24/7, and you've been doing it for 15 years. So for her to have an out-of-body experience on us because he was there in her immune-compromised center of the cancer center was sort of null and void because we live a compromise. This isn't... So when
COVID started, our lives did not change.
When you have cancer and you go and have chemo or any type of radiology or treatment, you're immune compromised. When you stop having infusions or radiation, your immune system comes back, okay? Your immune system rebuilds, then you're 100% immune system. When you are a transplant patient of any kind, you're on an immunosuppressant. I take an immunosuppressant every morning and every night to suppress my immune system so that my immune system doesn't reject my heart. And that's with every transplant. You have no immune system 24/7, all the time. So the fact that she had an out-of-body experience because he could contaminate someone who has no immune system, he lives with someone for 15 years with no immune system, 24/7. This isn't just a short-term thing.
So basically, I lay into that.
Told her all this stuff.
basically made her feel about this big, which was probably what she needed. But anyway, that was the last time we went to see that psychopath. We switched.
After she made him leave,
Basically,
and we
that
had
was
conversations with the heart doctors about what she did. They advised me you should get a different doctor. So I got a different doctor. That was 2020.
No, I'm trying to think how that was. We had already started outsourcing her doctors from Dartmouth anyway because we were getting these
Fruit Loops
whack jobs.
Good Lord.
It's like, how the hell are you a doctor here? I thought this was supposed to be one of the best hospitals in the state, and we get this fruitcake. And at this point, we've been playing this game long enough. It's like, you know what?
I'm not seeing you anymore. I'm seeing somebody else.
So we were down to 2 doctors at Dartmouth out of the 5 or 6 that you were seeing.
Yeah, even when we moved out here, I only had 2.
So we were only going to Dartmouth for rheumatology and cardiology. Everything else we outsourced to other facilities. We may have been going to 3 hospitals, but we were seeing the doctors we wanted to see or felt comfortable with.
And they were very good doctors. All the doctors I outsourced were much better.
Probably, if you take anything out of this, if you have health issues,
advocate for yourself.
Advocate for yourself.
And do not just take whatever the doctor says. You have to check yourself with God. When a doctor specifically wanted me to do this one thing, and I'm like, I am not doing that. Because as soon as they said it, I felt it in my spirit. Don't you do that.
Yeah, you can, if you're in tune, you know when stuff isn't right. And you gotta be able to roll with that. So basically, after that was pretty much the end of Dartmouth. I mean, the rheumatologist was good, and at the time we were seeing a good cardiologist, but she passed away, and then we got handed down to the next one, and she was decent.
She left right before we left.
Well, we saw her, and then I left work, and then she was gone. So, whatever year that was in. So fast forward to, 23, 24?
What are we talking about?
You didn't have many health issues after the lymphoma.
Just the RA. It was the RA in 18, December of 18, and then the lymphoma in April of 19, and...
So basically the same, they were using the same treatment for the RA and the lymphoma, so she was getting an infusion every 3 months to treat both. So we were doing good there for a couple years.
Yeah.
So we were getting more into trapping, and we went to this trapping convention up in...
That was 23.
Yeah. Yes.
23 was the first time, yeah.
So we went to this trapping convention for the weekend. It was great. We got to meet people in the industry. We made some friends. And after that, it was God told us we needed to move. And I think we explained some of this in one of our other videos. But we're past the health issues, so we're doing good. And we're progressing. In amidst all that, we left the church we were going to. We went to this other church for a few years. We got involved. Stuff went sideways. They got rid of somebody we thought they should have kept. And that was the end of that church. We weren't church hurt or anything like that. It was...
No, it was a very clear where God's going.
It was, you need to leave. So we were in hiatus. We were fishing.
For like 2 weeks.
It was about a month.
Maybe a month.
We were fishing. Okay? We'll just leave it at that. It was nice. It was summertime. We were fishing. We were out kayaking or in the boat
and then
fishing.
we have a meeting one Sunday morning. We're having, breakfast and coffee on the picnic table outside. And out of the blue, I think it was Tristan.
Yeah, so in this, one of Tristan's friends from this other church that we now no longer attend moved to Wakefield. So they're going to the church that we used to go to and invited Tristan to go, not knowing that we used to go there. So we're out on the picnic table because it's summertime. We're out there having breakfast. I think we made, sausage, egg sandwiches. We're outside on the picnic table reading the Bible, having our morning discussion or whatever you want to call it, drinking our coffee, eating breakfast outside. And it's like, we can go there because my big thing is you don't go back.
His big thing, he didn't want to at first, but I in my
She
spirit,
pushed it.
I was like in my spirit, I'm like, this is right. We're supposed to go back. And he's like, yeah, I just have to like it.
So that's just me going from you don't go back, you progress forward. And so I had to basically go, all right, we'll go. And so we go back, and it was one of those services where it changes, God hits you with enough revelation and basically slaps you around enough to go, you need to do this and you need to start progressing more. So we go back to the church that we had left, and then we get to go to this trapping convention where we hear God tell us, you need to move. Both Billy Sue and I got that. But what did that mean? Do we need to go to more of these? Do we need to how are we supposed to move? And it took a couple of months of prayer and just
Figuring that out exactly. Because
getting quiet to figure out what the next move was. So it's like, all right, we got you need to move, like pick up and move somewhere. So naturally, Alaska was our first choice.
That is not where he wanted us to be.
The boys both said, we're not going to come visit you if we have to get on a plane.
They were both willing to go with us, but then once they
didn't want to stay
they didn't want to stay there. Like Clint's like, yeah, I'll go there because I have to, but
that's not where he wants to be.
Yeah, he's like, once I start college, I'm gone. It's like, oh.
So then we looked at Montana because we were going to move to Montana before we had the first kid. You ruined that too, just so you know. And with the mass exodus from California, normal people can't touch the western side of the Rockies anymore, which is the nice side, the warm side, not the cold, windy, snowy side. So that's out. So we're looking in Wyoming, and you know what? They ain't got any trees in Wyoming.
Somebody needs trees.
Some of the property is pretty cheap. You can pick up these big pieces of property, but they got like 6 trees on them and 100 acres. Like, that ain't gonna work. So then we're just, where else would you want to live? So we started extending. I sent her some stuff from Wisconsin, and she sent me some stuff, and it's like, really, Wisconsin? Why would you want to go there? And
it just kind of popped up on my, like, when we were just popped up, look at this place. It's like, oh.
Because I'm thinking, all right. I think actually after Wyoming, we went to western New York, but they get too much snow, and if you know anything about politics, New York is a joke.
We were looking at somewhere else. Did we look in Iowa or Idaho?
We looked in Idaho, but that's the same thing as Montana. Normal people can't touch the property there because of the people from California. We looked at western New York because we like to fish out there.
Pennsylvania.
We looked in Pennsylvania, but that was a no. I don't remember why.
Probably because Uncle John said no, and we just want to listen
So,
to him.
I think I looked in.
We looked in West Virginia.
We looked in West Virginia, but that just wasn't there.
Indiana.
Did we look in Indiana?
I looked because of Pennsylvania. I looked in Indiana.
and we avoided Ohio like the plague.
And Illinois.
And I think we looked in the UP of Michigan, but a lot of them get too much snow.
And I think that's how it kind of came across from the UP kind of came across, because I think the first place I sent you was in Ashland.
Yeah, so we had started looking in Wisconsin, going, all right, stuff up by Lake Superior isn't overly expensive. And
then somebody looked up how much snow they get, and he was like, that's not happening.
Yeah, I'm not living somewhere where they get 90 plus inches of snow a year. So we started just looking around in Wisconsin, and it's like, all right, well, we got to find a church. So that was the first thing.
No, actually.
Oh, the first thing was a hospital.
We were like, oh, well, we got to find a hospital. And so we started looking at places
that were 2 hours from a transplant center.
And then I got in my spirit that why are you looking at a hospital? You need to be looking at me first. You need to be looking at God first. We got to find where He's telling us to. What church is He calling us to? And I was like, oh, you kind of get that conviction of, oh, whoops. Yeah, that's right. I shouldn't be, because shouldn't God be taking care of us? I don't need to have a hospital. I mean, I trust God to take care of me. And I never thought about being near a hospital before. I was always trusting in God. So why were we even thinking to look at a hospital first? And that was when, God said to look in Phillips. And I was just like, God, I already looked.
Well, we didn't start off with that. We were looking for Word of Faith churches.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was the thing, is we were looking for Word of Faith churches, and I was looking, and I didn't see anything.
Yeah, it's like we're not living outside a city. And I think there was couple towns north and west of here, there was one. But that wasn't the one, and she kept getting, you need to look in Phillips, basically, till God came out and slapped her with Phillips. Pay attention.
Like, literally, because I'm like, I already looked in the area, but I had not put in Phillips, Wisconsin, like churches in Phillips, Wisconsin. I was just putting in churches in Wisconsin and then doing abroad. And I wasn't getting anything. I wasn't getting that church. At least the church we go to now, I wasn't getting that. And that was that whole, you need to look in Phillips, Wisconsin. And I was like, but God, I already looked. And he's like, Phillips, Wisconsin. Okay. Churches in Phillips, Wisconsin.
And the other part of that is we needed to be above 64. We needed to be in the northern trapping zone, or just wildlife, whatever they call it out here, zone. Wildlife management area. We needed to be above a certain road, because that divided up the north and the south part of the state. It's like, we need to be above that.
That was something you got that before.
We needed to be above that, but below the snow belt, because we don't need...
That was his own personal opinion, though. Being below the snow belt. It was, we needed to be above 64. That was something he got in his spirit.
Now, if God told us to go live in Superior where they get all that snow, or whatever that town is that gets 300 inches of snow in Michigan, we'd go there. But that's not where we got called. We got called to the Phillips area. So there was the church. So then when we come out here in May on vacation, we pretty much knew we were going to buy the school, but we made efforts
to look at other places.
And the only other house we really wanted to look at, we couldn't get to see, because...
Pretty sure that God's like, you're going to want that place. And where our faith is, and knowing that we were following God, we could have got it. In the sense of that, our faith, like, God's like, if they wanted it, I'd have to give it to them, because that's where our faith was. Our faith was we were going to get what God wanted for us. And I fully believe that if we had put our faith in it, then God would have moved. And
but
so
this
is where he wanted us. So he was like, no, we don't need any distractions.
Yeah, you don't need an indoor swimming pool in your house. So,
or, a downstairs apartment.
Yep. 70s shag carpet and all that stuff. 70s bar in the basement.
It's like a 3-bedroom with it was a 3-bedroom upstairs, 3-bedroom, 2-bath upstairs. Downstairs was like entertainment, but it was like a...
And there was a 2-car garage above and a 1-car below.
And then, like I said...
And the pool.
Downstairs was like, there was 2 more bedrooms with a bathroom. Yep. And then it was like entertaining.
A lounge.
It was a lounge for sure. Had a bar with stools and that was your kitchen. It was
Yeah.
and you could have your own, bar, technically your own restaurant, like the way it was set up. But
Yeah. So we didn't get to see that one for whatever reason, and we just chalked it up so we'd ended up there instead of here.
that's not. God did not want to. God knew we didn't want any of the other places. It was the one place we really wanted to see outside of the school, and didn't want to give us anything else but what He wanted us. And that's our faith too. It's where we stand. It's like only God, only what you want us to have, God, is what you will allow to come forward. Just like. We believing for God for a job for Scott, and we just said, okay, God, whatever job you want him to have is the only job. Only one person called, only one place called. Mm-hmm. He put in lots of places, only one place called. Lots of places called afterwards, but only one place called. Once he accepted the job, then there were other places that had called. So we were like, well, clearly that's the place that God wanted him, because that's where we stand. That is our stuff. Is it how it's going to work for you? I don't know. That's between you and God. It's got nothing to do with me.
That's how it worked for us.
That's how it works for us. Because that's where we stand.
While we were out here in May, we put in our bid. It got accepted. We agreed on a price contingent upon the sale of our house. So we went back. We had somebody who was interested. They put in a bid. We went back and forth. We accepted it. There was an issue with our septic being...
She had an issue with our septic not being
perfect.
Top of the line perfect. And so she did some things. And she lost her financing because we refused to...
Lower.
She wanted us to put in a whole new septic. We didn't need a whole new septic system.
There was going to be one person living in the house. The septic would have lasted fine. But anyway... So she lost her original financing and then got this other one that was way less than what we were willing to settle for.
Yes, she originally, her loan or amount was qualified for this much, and then when she redid it, she qualified for this much. We were not willing to lower our price that much.
So after that, at this point, I had given my notice and left because we were going to close and then we were going to be out here in July. Which would have been cool because we could have been, set up for winter. But obviously that was not God's plan for us. So we continued along where we were having a showing, every other week? Almost every week. Almost every weekend we had somebody coming to look at our house. So it's like, I'm not going to go, for one, I ain't going back. And two, I'm not going to try to find another job where I'm going to have to leave in a week or 2 weeks because we signed on the house. So God provided us with the money to continue on. And in September we signed and we closed in November. We drove out here the week before Thanksgiving.
Showed up Friday before Thanksgiving.
Yep, the Friday before Thanksgiving. We went into the school that Monday. Got Clint's schedule, took the tour of the school. Basically, everything that has come about since we've been out here, we may not have been able to get had we made it work in July, because we probably could have made it work. We were already pretty much packed. We probably could have moved out here and figured out how to rent something here and still maintain the mortgage on the other house. And it didn't feel right. Like, we knew we could make it work, but that wasn't the right...
We didn't want to make it work, because that's not trusting in God. If you can do it, where's the faith? If you can do it, what's the point of God? Having to trust in God means that you cannot do it on your own.
So we just continued to have faith in God and rolled with it. And by doing that, we have been blessed a lot more than had we made it work and come out here earlier like we wanted. Because,
Like you wanted. I know you wanted to be out here.
Well, yeah. But still, everything that has basically come to pass since we've been out here has been great. And I'm pretty sure had we made it happen and just moved out here in like July or August to get Clint to start school here versus having to be in Kennett for a little bit, I don't think the people that have come into our lives would have been here. Or
there were a lot of people that we met that we've met now that if we'd have been here, we wouldn't have met them because they weren't here yet. There were a lot of people that were not here yet.
They weren't here yet, or they were busy doing something else. I mean, I think in one of our other videos is like I got that job, and the girl that did the tour of the plant asked where I lived. I told her. She's like, "Oh, I live right down the street from you. If you ever need anything, let me know." I was like, "Can I catch a ride with you to work?" "Yeah, sure."
Yeah.
Had that been anywhere else, I don't think it would have worked. And at the time, we only had 2 vehicles.
Yeah.
Or actually, we had one, and then Tristan had his, and Sydney had hers.
Yeah.
So that was a blessing as long as it lasted. And anytime I need to catch a ride, there's people that drive by here.
Yeah.
Or they're willing to bring me home, even if they live the other way a little bit. So just having faith in God and waiting for His timing, which isn't always easy, makes life easier. So
you've come a long way. I mean, we've come a long way, but you've come a long way from the beginning of this testimony to here. You know, you've come a long way. You started with no faith and nothing to, even though you're waiting on God, you're willing to wait on God. I mean, that's a big thing. That's a long way to come, to go from not even believing or as you put it, half-assing it, you know, to fully jumped in 100% right over here. And God, if you want me to wait, I'll wait. You know, then I'm just going to do what I want. There's a big difference. There's a big difference to go from I'm doing whatever I want because I'm in control of my life to God, I surrender all. You're in control of my life. Mm-hmm. And that's the broad spectrum of it, is to see the change. And I'm sure that there are people who knew you then to know you now and going, wow, to see the growth. Mm-hmm. And I see it, wow, to see the growth. You know, who you were to who you are. And you may not be where you want to end at. You know, I may not be where I want to be today, but I'm no longer where I was yesterday.
No, and we're human, so I don't know if you struggle with, you know, there's basically the struggle of trying to, what's the word? I want to stay with stand, but that ain't the right word.
You mean struggling to have faith and struggling to...
No. Temptation, what's the word where
you're tempted?
No.
I really don't know what you're trying to say, so I'm sorry.
Not give in. What's the word that's...
Not give up.
No, not... I know there's a word, but basically not give in to temptation. Is that the word?
I don't know what you're talking about, though. You kind of stopped mid-thought. So
yeah, because I was trying to think of the right word.
I don't know the thought. You haven't told us the thought yet.
Resist. There we go. To resist temptation, because when you're on social media, you probably don't get pictures of naked men or scantily clad men.
I'm not online anywhere near as much as you are, so.
But you can be scrolling through, like I'm part of a bunch of trapping stuff where I'm just doom scrolling, and you get the scantily clad women, so there's the temptation there, and to be able to resist that is something you have to be able to. Before I had to give into that. Now it's easier to go, yeah. That's the best.
As you grow in God. So you basically, what you're saying is what it is the closer you get to God, the more God-hearted you are. So when you know that these things, the fruit of the Spirit, these things, let's go by pastor here, the fruit of the Spirit, so you have these things, these are the things that you should be striving for. Mm-hmm. It's when you're getting closer to God, when you're actually striving to get close to God, now your desires line up to his desires. So what you want is what he wants.
It makes it easier to resist temptation.
So it makes it a lot easier to be like, I don't want that. I don't want to have anything to do with that. Because you get close, the closer you get to God, the more of God that is in you. And so when you're striving for God, you'll see things, you'll be like, nope, I'm not even gonna, or, I mean, just, there's a lot of stuff in the world. You see a lot that goes on. If anything, that's what I tend to see. I'll be just scrolling and I'll be like, why do you, and then I have to be like, no, God, and I start talking to God. I'll be like, okay, God, you know what, I don't understand this.
Yeah,
and so I'll just
for today.
Put it away. Because I'm just like, okay, I'm done. Because if you continue, you don't want to become numb to it. And that's the problem, is so many people are numb to what's going on. They're just like, yeah, whatever. And it's nothing. If you see the things of this world, and you do not ache for humanity, if you do not go, oh Lord, I wish they could see you. I wish they knew you. I wish they could be set free and delivered and follow you and just love you. If you don't look at humanity and look at this world and go, God, I just want them to have you. I don't want them to be sad and sick and twisted and hurting and angry. I don't want that. If you don't look at that and then see what God sees and you hurt for them, you're not close to God. I'm not trying to be rude, or it's if you are not looking and feeling for humanity in the God way, if you're not like, Lord, I just want them to have you. Because he sees everything in this world. He weeps when you weep. You know, he hurts when you hurt. He doesn't want to see you in pain or anguish or you know, mentally ill or physically ill or, you know, hurt and crying. He doesn't want to, he wants you to reach out to him. And if you, as a human, don't look at the world and feel what God feels and see what he sees, you're not close enough. You are not close enough to God. And that is, if it isn't for kingdom, if you're not striving for his kingdom, if you are not doing what you're doing, all for the glory of God, you're not close enough. You're not striving enough. You need to not be calloused to this world. And I think that's something that as you get closer to God and you grow and you see the human Scott who was in control to the man who willingly gives control to God. Those are two separate people. God says that he will, take a heart of stone and turn it flesh. And that's what we're talking about, is that who you were, stone, to who you are, flesh. Because God can work with this, he can work with flesh people. He can work with a softened heart. He can work with people who are willing to see him. But you got to get there.
Yep.
Whether you have someone who's working on you or whether you just have people praying, if you're not going to be the person to work on someone, whether in love every day, with love every day, because it's what we're supposed to do. We're not called to condemn them. We're called to love. We hate the sin. You love the person.
Yep.
God loves everybody. It's never been a love issue. It's always been a sin issue. God loves you, and he loves you so much he's going to allow you to sin because he wants you to choose to change. You chose to change. You chose. It took time. It's 23 years since, 24 years since we met. But it's taken a heart of stone to a heart of flesh. Time to change. Right?
Like I said, I'm slow.
No, it's not even that, because, I mean...
I didn't want to change. I liked what I was doing.
But then you chose to change. You're like, this isn't working, God. Clearly this isn't working, so there's got to be change. Mm-hmm. And then you didn't say clearly there's got to be change, and you take control of the reins again and be like, I got to change. No, you were just like, God, I need help here because I can't do this. You need to help me change. And God's only looking for those who are willing. I didn't know what it was at first. It's like, wait a minute, what the heck is that?
And not only have I changed, but you have changed and grown too.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Me much more than you, but you have definitely.
I think that when you open the door to change, like I saw you change, which made it easier for me to change. And I say that because when I see you step out and say things that kind of catch me off guard, that, you know, you've said this in public to a public person, I'm like, why aren't you being... And I know that I don't think there's anybody who knows me that doesn't know I'm a Christian. You know, I mean, that's just, I've always been there. I will always share and tell people. But there are things that I know that I should have been doing for years that only since we've been out here have I had the courage to...
The revelation.
It's not even the revelation. I knew what I was supposed to be doing. Like, I knew that when God would tell me things, I needed to tell people things. But I was so concerned, I wasn't afraid, so concerned in myself that I would say the wrong thing or that I wasn't doing the right thing. Because I was brought up and taught that if you didn't, we had this conversation with Rose. If you didn't go to Bible college, if you don't know this and you don't know that, you don't have a right, you can't be speaking things. Well, I know God. And if God's told me something, and he says you need to tell that person something, then in obedience, I should be speaking to that person. Whether I say to them, listen, I don't know if this fits or if it doesn't fit. If it fits, great, use it. If it's not, shelf it, throw it away, whatever. But in my act of, I need to be obedient to God, I'm going to tell you. Whereas for many, 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 many years, I heard things in my spirit that I knew I was supposed to say to somebody, and I wouldn't because of what I've been taught and how I was told, well, you don't really know. You don't really know. You didn't go to school for that. You're not old enough. I believed the lies of, you're not old enough, you didn't go to college, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you don't. And so I believed those, until coming out here, meeting wonderful, amazing people who encourage, well, if God's told you something, in obedience, you should be saying something. As long as you're in obedience, you're saying something. And then you say to them, listen, if it fits, great. If it doesn't, just toss it, shelf it, whatever. That way, at least, if I believe that it's what God's told me to say, I'm being obedient. But I also don't want to hinder, so I also believe God that what I have said will also come out the way that he needs it to be. He can use what I've said. So that maybe I said the wrong word, but God's going to make sure that they heard the right word.
Yep.
If I trust God to be, if I'm being obedient and I trust God, then he's going to make it all work out. And for many years, I didn't say things to a lot of people because I was under, the false impression, the lies that because you didn't go to school for that, you don't know better. it wasn't even those, because I would say things to you, and I would say things to the boys, and I'd say things to people that were close, my mom and stuff like that, even my father, but not to people on the outside. I didn't even say it to strangers, you know. So it was like but I wouldn't say it in a like openly. I didn't have that, you know. I believe the lies that if I said something, I was going to hear. Well, you don't know what you're talking about. Which I had heard many times. There have been times, you know, in churches that I would say something and then I would get a quick rebuke or a quick correction of, well, you can't be saying that. Even though in my heart I knew I was right. You know, and there were times I'd say things and I would have a pastor or, you know, a higher up be like, you are right, and be knowing that's my, you know, knowing that there's also somebody there who's upset that I said something. Yeah. So I wasn't confident in myself to go, I am hearing from God. And out here, got lovely, wonderful people who are very encouraging.
And when we started this walk 20-something years ago, did you ever think you would be here sharing, talking to my cell phone on a stick over there?
You want me to be honest?
Life lessons that we've learned in our journey to this point.
Two sides of that. In the aspect of knowing to be like, did I think I was going to be here? No. But did I know that I had a calling in my life to share God? Yes. So I've always known that I was supposed to share God. That's why I think my personality and who I am, I'm always telling people about God. Mm-hmm. Because I know that that's something I'm supposed to do. And so did I ever think I was going to have, you know, be here with a YouTube channel with you? No, because YouTube really wasn't this huge thing 23 years ago. Think about it. Mm-hmm. So, for me...
Do you even think you'd been here doing this 2 years ago?
No. You, yes. Because I knew there was a calling on your life. I knew there was a calling on your life 24 years or 23 years ago when we met. I knew there was a calling on your life. Because God told me you were going to be a great man.
You could have told me. I'd have been more prepared.
The thing is that I've told you before. It was just a matter of you weren't ready to hear it. How many times have I told you that you were a great man and you've done great things and that God's going to use you and He has used you? How many times have I told you?
Enough.
So did it help? Did it make it any easier?
No.
Exactly. Because you had to get there yourself. It's no different than me telling Tristan that God told me he was going to be a warrior for God. And until Tristan is ready to stand in that spot, doesn't change that God told me he's going to be a warrior for him. Mm-hmm. You know, Clint's a man of God. And I was told Clint was going to be a man of God. And there's a difference between a warrior for God and a man of God. They're two separate, they do the exact same thing in two separate veins. Yep. And so I knew that we were going to have a man of God. I knew we were going to have a warrior for God. And Tristan still stands in that if he actually watches this, which I don't know if he will, he stands in the warrior for God. He has that capability. And when he shares God, you see it. Mm-hmm. It kind of takes over him. Clint's just not quite there yet. But he is a man of God. Do I know what he's going to do exactly? No. I am waiting for God showed me a vision. I'm waiting for that vision to come true. So, but yeah, it's those things. It's like I knew those things. Did I know it was going to take 23 years for you to know that you were a great man of God? I really thought you were going to get it a lot sooner. Because when you're in it, you hear it and you're like, I know that is a great man. He's going to be a great man of God. He's going to do great things for God. I really thought that when I heard that, I was going to be like right then and there. Like it was going to happen. You know, we were going to get married, we were going to be this different person, and and I don't mean like I, needed to change you. I knew what God told me, and I just was waiting on Him, waiting on you. Because I'm waiting on God, who's waiting on you. But I knew it would come. I knew it would happen. Mm-hmm. Just like I know, Tristan is a warrior for God. He's already shown warrior status being Kenneth. And I know Clint's, a man of God. He has shown that he's a man of God by the way he conducts himself, which is set apart from so many others. So it's like they already are walking towards it, and in it. But the day that they walk into it and decide they're going to live in it,
Dwell there.
Yeah, dwell there, that's the word. So now that it's been...
Probably 2 hours.
Probably, I can't see. Where's the thingy on there?
Where your arm is. Move your arm up higher. Yeah.
2.5 hours. Well, we really hope that y'all listen to this 2.5 hour thing.
Yeah, and I have to put a note in the description that says it's long.
It's
Be
long,
prepared.
but he'll put right in the description there that it is that's his God's testimony.
Basically.
Yeah.
Mine and ours as a
married couple. Because
before me, she didn't have much.
Clearly, you're not much. You heard that, God?
It wasn't until me that she started having adventures and tragedies.
Yeah. Oh, so now it's all your fault.
Should have never married you.
Would you change it if you could?
Probably not. I'd like to say I would, but...
I have no desire to ever have been married to anyone else. Of course, I would love for the horrible things and the hard times to have not happened. But I cannot, in good conscience, say that had we not gone through what we've gone through, that we would be who we are or where we are today.
Mm-hmm. That's why you don't get the whole picture. You only get a couple here and there.
Yeah. Flashes.
Because I'd have gotten the whole picture, I wouldn't have chose this.
Well, no, not at your in-control self 23 years ago. I would have. If God said you're going to suffer for me, I would have said, okay.
Yeah.
I am a different breed of person.
Yep.
Because I fully walk in the faith of if it's going to happen, or if it's already been known to happen, God already saw the victory. He already, you're going to go through battles. Great, God, you already won the war, so I'm a winner.
Oh, winner, chicken dinner. I'm hungry.
All right.
Well, hopefully you got something out of that. If you got questions or want us to go more in depth, you can reach out to us.
And Denise, I know you're going to watch the whole thing. You always watch everything, and we thank you so much. She is our number one fan. And we love you so much.
Tell your friends, even
Family.
if this reaches one person.
Poisonous reptiles.
Right? Friends, relatives, poisonous reptiles.
Let everybody know.
And even if what we have been through reaches one person that watches this, it's worth it. Mm-hmm. So, tell your friends to watch it if you make it this far. If not,
tell them to watch it anyways.
Yeah. You might get something out of it, or they might, or if you know somebody who will get something out of it, or who is struggling at life. It does get better. You just have to want it, basically. Because if you don't have the faith that it'll get better, it's not going to. You can wallow in self-pity all you want. You ain't going to get anywhere in life. Except welfare. they seem to pass that out to anybody except us.
Except us. I was just going to say, I literally thought that in my head. I was like, what is? So, we are standing in faith with those that are believing for great and mighty things, and the move of God in their towns, in their cities, in their families. We are believing with you that friends, family, and coworkers, and that the world
Just people you know get in the boat.
will see God and come
And
running.
we're believing for the funds to come in so we can continue to work on our studio.
Yes.
So that way we're not,
In the middle of the garage.
No, we're in the corner of the garage
In the middle of the garage. We're in the garage. It doesn't matter.
with a backdrop, and we've done it in the living room and our bedroom and the apartment, and basically
Maybe we'll do it on the stage next time.
maybe. I mean,
We'll do it on the stage facing out so that there's no inappropriacies in our backdrop.
I mean, we even did one or two in the camper. So yeah.
We like to move it around. Maybe we'll do one. Well, we've done a couple in the kitchen, just with Clint and whatnot. But
And if you want to see us do live stuff where you can ask us questions, we can do that. This video is probably going to take forever to upload. Not that you'll have already watched it by the time you get to this. So
we just did it here for the fact that there is no
distractions.
and there's no Wi-Fi out here
Yep.
at the moment. We hope to have that changed very soon.
Yep.
But at the moment, no Wi-Fi.
Not this far. The other end of the gym, Wi-Fi.
Yeah, which we could do on the stage probably, and stream and do live streaming, which is what we might do next time.
Yep.
So we're hoping to
Push forward.
get back on track to hopefully once a week.
Yeah, and
We got a lot going on with Clint. So
at least through the middle of next month.
yeah.
And then maybe more.
I don't know what kind of bird that is. Don't look at me.
Sounds like a woodpecker.
Is he eating my apple tree?
It better not be.
Well, that's what's on there. That's all it's out there. It's the apple tree.
There's a tree across the street. But anyway, we love you all. And if you made it this far, good on you. Because it takes a lot to sit and listen to two people ramble for almost 2 hours and 40 minutes. So until next time.
We love you guys.
And we'll
God
talk
bless.
to you later. Bye.
Bye.